Before dawn, the fog over the valley is so thick that a man cannot see the horse standing in front of him. 80,000 soldiers are waiting in a basin they cannot see. They have marched all night through cold rain, on roads that have turned to mud. Two armies stand within a few hundred paces of each other, and neither of them knows it yet. On a wooded hill above the southern edge of the valley, a young lord sits under a curtained enclosure and watches the fog. His name is Kobayakawa Hideaki. He commands 15,000 men. He has promised them to both sides. In a few hours, he will have to keep one of those promises. What he decides on that hill will govern Japan for the next 268 years. This is the Battle of Sekigahara. 2 years earlier, in the autumn of 1598, the man who ruled Japan dies in his bed at Fushimi Castle. His name is Toyotomi Hideyoshi. He rose from nothing, and he ended a century of civil war. For 100 years before him, Japan had no government worth the name. 60 provinces, and every one of them fighting the ones beside it. He leaves behind an empire and a 5-year-old son. The child is named Hideyori. Before he dies, Hideyoshi makes 5 of his greatest lords swear to protect the boy until he comes of age. They swear it. In writing. In front of witnesses. The oldest and most powerful of the 5 is Tokugawa Ieyasu. He is 56 years old, patient, careful, and he has been waiting his entire life. He had been a hostage as a child, twice, traded between the men who ruled his fatherland. He had outlived every man who had ever held power over him. Within a year, he is arranging marriages between his family and other great houses, which the oath forbids. He moves into Osaka Castle, where the child heir lives. He begins handing out land that is not his to give. Nobody stops him, because nobody can afford to be the first. One man says out loud what everyone else is thinking. Ishida Mitsunari is an administrator, not a warrior. He ran Hideyoshi's supply lines, his tax registers, his armies in Korea. He is brilliant, rigid, and disliked by almost every general he has ever supplied. The men who hate him most are the generals who fought in Korea while he counted their rice. In the summer of 1600, he raises an army in the name of the child, and calls on the lords of western Japan to join him. He picks his moment carefully. Ieyasu has just marched most of his army northeast, to deal with a rival in the far provinces. 600 kilometers of Japan now lie between Tokugawa Ieyasu and his own capital. That is the moment Mitsunari raises his flag. Among the lords who answer is Kobayakawa Hideaki. He is Hideyoshi's nephew by marriage, adopted into the household as a boy, raised as a possible heir. Then the child Hideyori was born, and Hideaki was no longer needed. He was adopted out to another family, sent to war in Korea, and then stripped of much of his land on his return. The man who signed the order taking his land was Ishida Mitsunari. Now Mitsunari needs him. So Mitsunari offers him everything. 2 provinces around Osaka. The regency itself. Guardianship of the child heir. Kobayakawa accepts. He marches west with the Western Army. He helps them take Fushimi Castle. Fushimi Castle is held for the Tokugawa by an old retainer named Tori Mototada. He knows he cannot hold it. He holds it for 10 days anyway. 10 days is enough. In that time, Ieyasu takes Gifu Castle and turns his whole army around. The delay costs the Western Army the one thing it cannot replace. Time. He does everything a loyal ally would do. And at the same time, quietly, through messengers, he is writing to Tokugawa Ieyasu. Ieyasu offers him the same thing Mitsunari offered. Land, rank, a future. Kobayakawa accepts that too. Neither Ieyasu nor Mitsunari knows what he will actually do. It is possible that he does not know either. On the 20th of October, 1600, the reign begins. Mitsunari is at Ogaki Castle, a day march east of the pass at Sekigahara. Word reaches him that Ieyasu intends to bypass him entirely and march straight for his home castle at Sawayama. It may be true. It may be bait. Mitsunari moves. He pulls his army out of Ogaki in the dark and marches west through the rain to block the pass. Sekigahara is a narrow basin where 3 roads meet. Whoever holds it holds the road to Kyoto. His men reach it after midnight, soaked, exhausted, and take the high ground on 3 sides. Sekigahara means the field of the barrier gate. Armies have been stopped here before. It is a superb position. On paper, the Western army cannot lose. Ishida Mitsunari places himself on Sasaoyama, at the northwestern corner. Otani Yashitsugu takes the low ground to the south, in the valley floor. Otani Yashitsugu is carried to his position in a palanquin. He has been ill for years. He can no longer walk, and he can barely see. He commands by listening, and by what his messengers tell him. He does not trust the hill above him. And Kobayakawa Hideaki climbs Matsuoyama, the hill above Otani, with 15,000 men. From Sasaoyama, Mitsunari can see Kobayakawa banners across the basin. He will watch them all morning. On paper is not where the battle will be decided. Ieyasu army arrives before dawn and forms up in the mud at the eastern end of the basin. Neither army can see the other. In the fog, a Tokugawa scouting party walks directly into a western unit. Both sides panic and pull back. Now they know. The Ashigaru in the front rank have been standing in freezing water for 6 hours. Most of them have never seen a battle this size. Very few of them will see another. Around 8 in the morning, the wind rises and the fog begins to lift. For the first time, the 2 armies see what they are standing in. Roughly 80,000 men on each side, at 400 paces. The first shots are matchlocks. Both armies carry thousands of them. Japan has more firearms at this moment than any country in Europe. 2 Naomesa men, armored head to foot in red lacquer, cut in front of the assigned vanguard and hit the western center. Fukushima Masanori troops go in beside them. The valley disappears into smoke. Nobody in the valley can see more than a few hundred paces in any direction. Orders travel at the speed of a man on a horse, through smoke, across a battle. For the next 2 hours, the Western Army holds. Yukita Hideai 17,000 push Fukushima back across the field. Shimazu Yoshihiro men hold the center and do not move. Otani, blind in his palanquin, breaks 2 attacks. Ishida Mitsunari's own position is attacked and holds. 2 hours in, the Western Army is winning. From the eastern end of the valley, Tokugawa Ieyasu watches the line he cannot break. He has more men in the field. It is not helping. Because roughly a third of the Western Army has not fired a shot. The Mori contingent on Nangayama, 25,000 strong, has not moved. Their forward commander has made a private arrangement with Tokugawa, and he is physically blocking the road down. And on Matsuoyama, 15,000 more sit in the sun and watch. 2 armies are fighting. A third is waiting to see who wins. So the situation, at 11 in the morning, is this. Ishida Mitsunari holds the northwest and is winning the fight in the center. Tokugawa Ieyasu holds the east and cannot break through. And 35,000 men on 2 hills have not moved all day. Everything now depends on which way those men go. Around mid-morning, Ishida Mitsunari orders the signal. The smoke climbs where every commander in the valley can see it. It means, everyone, now. It is the order every commander in the Western Army has been waiting for since dawn. On Nangayama, nothing moves. On Matsuoyama, nothing moves. Mitsunari sends riders. The riders come back with nothing. He sends more. On the hill, the messages are received, and nothing happens. Below the hill, Otani Yashitsugu has already drawn his own conclusion. He orders part of his line turned around, to face uphill, at his own ally. It is the last order he will give that changes anything. Above him, on the hill, nothing has changed for 4 hours. A little after noon, on Matsuoyama, Kobayakawa Hideaki gives an order. 15,000 men stand up. They come down the slope. And they hit the Western army. For the men below, it takes a moment to understand what is happening. Then the banners on the slope come close enough to read. Otani Yoshitsugu men are waiting for exactly this, and for a few minutes they hold. 600 men in the front line, 4,000 behind them, driving 15,000 back up their own hill. Then 4 more Western commanders turn. They had been posted there to guard against exactly this betrayal. Otani command is hit from the front, the flank, and the rear at once, and it ceases to exist. It takes less than an hour. Blind, in his palanquin, Otani asks his retainer whether it is lost. When the man finally tells him the truth, he asks for 2 things: that his ruined face not be shown to the enemy, and that his head not be taken. His retainer does both, buries the head far from the field, and then kills himself. He is the only great lord of the Western army who dies on the battlefield that day. Once Otani flank is gone, the Western line unrolls from the south. Konishi Yukinaga men break. Then Yukida. Then Ishida. By mid-afternoon it is no longer a battle. Once one part of a line breaks, the men beside it are no longer holding a line. They are standing in the open. Only the Shimazu do not run. Cut off, surrounded, they choose the one direction nobody expects. Shimazu Yoshihiro charges straight through the center of the Tokugawa army toward the eastern road. He passes within sight of Ieyasu's own headquarters. His nephew exchanges helmets with him and turns to fight the pursuit, and dies doing it. Roughly 80 men reach Kyushu alive. Behind them, the valley is being counted. Contemporary accounts put the number of dead that day in the tens of thousands. The battle has lasted about 6 hours. By evening, Tokugawa Ieyasu is master of Japan. Ishida Mitsunari escapes north into the mountains. He hides in caves and abandoned temples for days before he is recognized and taken. He is paraded through Osaka and Kyoto in an open cart with an iron ring around his neck. On the 6th of November, 1600, he is beheaded on the dry bed of the Kamo River at Rokujo. Kobayakawa Hideaki is rewarded. He is given bison and mimasaka, 550,000 koku, more than 3 times what he held before. He is one of the richest men in Japan. He is dead in 2 years. He leaves no heir, and the Kobayakawa name is struck from the register of great houses. The men who fought for Mitsunari lose their lands. The men who changed sides keep theirs, for a while. In 1603, the emperor grants Tokugawa Ieyasu the title he wanted. Shogun. His family will hold Japan for 268 years. It ends in 1868. 268 years of peace, bought in a single morning by a man who could not decide. The valley at Sekigahara is farmland again. From the hill where Kobayakawa waited, the hill where Mitsunari lit his signal is still clearly visible across the basin. On the morning of the 21st of October, 1600, 2 men could see each other banners from those hills all morning. One of them was waiting for a signal. The other had already decided not to answer it. If you want the campaign in full detail, the standard English account is Anthony Bryant's Sekigahara 1600, published by Osprey. There is also an audiobook edition of the battle if you would rather listen than read. Both links are in the description below. Every source used in this episode is listed in the description, with links. One question before you go. Was Kobayakawa Hideaki a traitor, or a very young man who was never going to survive choosing wrong? Tell me in the comments, and subscribe for the next battle.